What's up, friends? It's another edition of Rock Chalk Sports here at Kansas Nation with Elijah Schmidt behind the cameras and Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman, and boy, do we have a packed show for you today. I don't know how we're going to fit it all in this 2-hour time frame, but I'll be darned if we're not going to try our best.
Dang straight. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. We're going to do quite a bit of breaking down maybe some other stuff outside of KU, which I think is going to be exciting.
We are going to talk about stuff, that is for sure.
Stuff.
You can rely on that. Kansas Nation. KansasNation.com, by the way, is the place to be. And find us on socials as well. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at the Kansas Nation. It's Kansas Nation on Facebook. Had a really cool event last night over at Hogan Ballpark. Meet the Team Tour brought to us by Good Game. Some KU baseball players who had some heartwarming moments with some kids who are trying to get drilled, if you will.
Yeah.
Had batting cages. We had a radar gun. My favorite thing that I saw probably was the radar gun. And you had these little kids who were throwing the ball against the net and trying to get up to 30 miles an hour, throwing to guys who throw about 90.
I would say you were out there and you sent me that video to post on social media. There's that cute little blonde kid who's throwing. What was his max? What did he top out at?
Probably about 20.
20? Oh, man.
Maybe 20.
All right.
Maybe
well,
20.
Hey, get him in the JUCO system, and then maybe Coach Fitz will give him a look.
Yeah, no, it was cool, though. They were showing these kids how to turn double plays. They were hitting them BP, hitting them grounders, and, it just was awesome. And really appreciated the turf, the mammoth turf there at Hogan Ballpark, too.
Yeah.
I mean, just an awesome scene.
They don't get enough love, I think.
Yeah.
The turf, the job that they did, first of all, at Hogan Ballpark, second of all, at David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium, and then have you seen the Haskell softball field?
Not.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It is just incredible. Like, they do such a good job, and it's really cool that they're Kansas-based, and they do a lot of, like, professional stuff, too. Like, they're, like, the number one turf company, at least right now.
Are you a hard-nosed, I want the dirt, I want the grass?
So, okay, yes. I'm going a little bit of a tangent here, but when I got into college right away, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've never played." I played
So
on.
we're talking football.
Yes, we're talking football.
Okay.
I played on a turf field once. It was at Prairie View High School, and it was just so new and so nice, and it was so different than anything else. I was like, "I love this turf. Like, it's the coolest thing ever." And then I got into college and I started playing on turf, and I think I realized I like grass better.
Yeah,
just
really?
because it's more so the fact that when you fall down on turf, it's a little easier on the body, right? But I think, like, sliding, like, just turf burn in general.
Right.
If you shave my leg right now,
I'm not going to.
You can if you want.
I'm out.
If you shave my leg right now, like, there's, like, probably a big scar on my left calf, just from turf burn that I got probably 6 years ago. I think I like grass.
Yeah, my
more.
high school, they had the pellets. The turf pellets that pop up and you go home and you've got, like, pellets stuck to your
in
legs
your shoe.
and
You take
everywhere.
off your shoe and it just pours out. And I got, like, there's a couple times I got, like, turf pellets in my ears. And it gets in your face and your eyes and you hate it.
See, I prefer. I don't know. See, being on that turf last night at the event that was sponsored by the Good Game, I feel like as an infielder, you probably love it from a logistical standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm talking baseball now, of course. But, I mean, the ball is going to stay pretty true off the bat. I mean, you're going to not have to deal. I mean, the amount of bad hops I have to deal with playing slow pitch softball at shortstop. I mean, we're not playing on turf there, and that ball is going to go anywhere.
See, but I like the dirt more in slow pitch, too, I think.
I do. Well, I like the dirt more in general in baseball, I think.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably high-level baseball like KU is playing, I like the turf. It plays more true. But if I'm just playing, like, backyard baseball, give me the sand lot.
Absolutely.
You know, I want that. I want the dirt. I want the
sliding in. Like, if you're sliding into second or something, like, sliding into. I mean, if you're wearing shorts and you're not wearing long socks, like, you're gonna get messed up on some turf
for sure.
Where if you get dirt,
like
you'll be fine.
Yeah, you feel like you earned it either way.
And that's the thing. It's like it just feels more natural, more true. You know, you're like one with the earth. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting on my hippie.
That's fair, but I think I do. I mean, I'm good with either. I think for baseball, though, I like the old school dirt, grass. For football, I'm good with the turf. But either way, really cool event last night. Brought to us by the Good Game. Meet the Team Tour, KU baseball, and a bunch of kids who got to get drilled from the KU baseball team, and they did all sorts of stuff. stuff. So that was cool to see. Hey, here in this opening segment, we're talking transfer portal. Of course, KU basketball awaits their next edition, be it Tyran Stokes or be it somebody from the transfer portal. We're going to look at things from a national perspective. Right now, Kansas not viewed as having a top 25 team. That's just how it is. We know that we have 6 spots to fill. There's still some good players out there, and I'm sure the coaches are working, 24 hours trying to fill this out, and they've been in conversations with a lot of really good players. They've brought 3 guys on, and of course Stokes is the big question mark. If Stokes comes in, Kansas is automatically in the top 25, but we got to wait and see how the rest of the roster is built. After this, we are talking a little bit more NFL draft reaction. Interesting article I found on NBC Sports regarding your Kansas City Chiefs and how everybody thought they did. I think it's a little bit of a different outlook than maybe people had initially when the trade was made to get Mansour Delane. I think people are looking back at this Chiefs draft and saying, okay, maybe this is the right way for them to go, because the Chiefs right now are kind of in my opinion, the second phase, and we can talk more of this, but the second phase of the Mahomes era. He's still only 30, right? So you hope that you've got a lot of time, but you've got other players who were a part of the 2 Super Bowl back-to-back, the 3 Super Bowl in 5-year situation with Kelsey and Hill and even Chris Jones, all those guys that, are latter stages of their career. So now the Chiefs are trying to build up younger around Mahomes.
I don't like thinking about that because of the fact that
you don't want half of it to be over.
Right. That's the thing is and I look at Patrick Mahomes in sort of like a mirror of myself, because I was in college when he got drafted. He's only 2 years older than me, 2.5 years older than me. Right. So I've kind of watched his entire career progress kind of as my football career ended. And then now I get into my professional career. And now it's like, oh, he's an old guy now. That's not good, because that means I'm an old guy now.
Did you say I look at Patrick Mahomes as a mirror of myself?
No, just in terms of age. Just in terms of age,
gotcha.
right? Because he's only a couple years older than me. So I always looked at him as the young guy because I always thought I was the young guy, and now he's turning into the old guy. I'm like, oh no, that's not good, because now I'm going to be turning into the old guy. I wonder if he's had that
reaction too. Like,
maybe
you hear about that, and sports is the number one thing that you probably notice it, because again, Father Time gets everybody, but it gets everybody in sports,
right?
And unless you're Touchdown Tom or Tony Gwynn, it's like you're gonna have that natural fall off.
Do you remember when Andrew Luck retired? I was like,
he's Luke Kuechly.
He was 29. I was like, okay, well, 29, that's not bad. Then I'm like, oh no, I turned 28 this year.
Megatron, all those guys.
Frank Ragnow retired this year, and I'm like, that guy's like, he was like a grade above me.
And he's retired twice since we've been on air together, I think.
Frank Ragnow?
Yeah,
I think so. That sounds right.
Shout out. After that NFL draft segment, we're talking little KU whip around. KU tennis on to the NCAA tournament. We're going to hear video reaction from Kansas tennis as they will take on Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken, next week. KU baseball, KU softball updates as well. Both of those teams are in action tonight against Wichita State. For softball, they're here in Lawrence, closing out their home slate. And for baseball, they're heading down to Eck Stadium. Following that, excited to talk Royals with David Lesky, Inside the Crown. Substack.insidethecrown.com, or is it insidethecrown.substack?
Insidethecrown.substack.com.
David Lesky is our Royals insider. And the Royals, believe it or not, Dan, are 3.5 games out of first place. They're 11-17, but the AL Central is poopy. So the Royals, after their 3-game win streak and sweeping the Angels, they're not in that bad of shape.
That's okay. That is okay. That's like the Seahawks, like back in, like, what was that, 2009, when they had a losing record and they made the playoffs. It's like, hey, they still made the playoffs.
That's true, man. Was it that long ago?
It was a while ago, yeah.
We're talking NCAA eligibility after that. Dan, give us a little preview on this. Charlie Baker, of course, of the NCAA. There's been some chatter about how are we going to fix this, and certainly there are layers on how to fix NIL and the transfer portal right now, but articles on ESPN.com discussing this.
Yeah, so if you remember, Donald Trump put in an executive order trying to fix college athletics, essentially putting in a running clock, if you will. Whether it be you graduate high school first or you turn 19 first, you essentially have a running clock for 5 years, which I think it's a good idea, right? But in terms of the executive order, I talked about this and about how schools could get around this. The only, I guess, punishment would be the fact that you would lose federal funding, and that allows private schools to essentially do whatever they want. But now the NCAA gets behind this, and the NCAA kind of follows the same wording as the executive order, and they put it into action, then I think it's more likely that this is going to be a thing for all schools, and it's going to be very hard to get around it. Charlie Baker came out, said he's really optimistic about this rule change, about how it'll be implemented. It's supposed to be implemented August 1st, so we'll kind of break that down. Got a couple of articles that want to talk to you want to kind of read and talk to you guys about. But it is interesting, and again, this could be a step in the right direction. We consistently talk about just how something needs to change. I'm not smart enough to change it myself, but I know that something needs to change. And I think this is probably a good step forward in terms of, and this is solving essentially just one of the issues, right? This one of the issues is just
you can't have Devin Cambridge play a ninth year of basketball.
Exactly, right. It's you got 26-year-olds out here playing college basketball, college football still. Like who was that kid from Miami and Oregon a couple years ago who I think he went to the NFL draft last year. He graduated in 2016. So, there is, that's going to solve one of the issues. Another one of the issues is, obviously the transfer portal, and, there is also in the executive order is the one-time transfer rule. Other than that, then it reverts back to the old rule of you have to sit out a year, which I think that could be a nice thing as well. Again, I like the fact that kids can kind of go wherever, but we'll get more into this, but the NCAA just needs to essentially treat them as employees and put that into wording that these kids are employees. But the NCAA, again, is a greedy, terrible organization who wants to see it implode just because they want to stick their feet in the ground and say, we had it right the first time when we weren't paying players at all.
Yeah, and the only thing I disagree with is I don't want these kids to go wherever they want. I want them to do that at high school.
Sure, yeah.
But no, I think it's a step in the right direction. Yes, I think there's probably got to be some flexibility from the ability to transfer. But yeah, you should have to sit out because then you're not going to have 3,000 players in the portal. You're going to have, maybe 800 to 1,000? Ballpark, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But guys don't want to sit out. So it's I'm sorry, but look at Malik Newman. Look at the success that he had. He transferred one time. He had to sit out a year.
He did.
He came back, and he made an impact and a big one for Kansas. Again, that's just one player. I get it. But yeah, we'll have more on that a little bit later. Hey, let's take a look at the transfer portal as is right now. And first, before we even do this, I want to bring up this Gary Parrish article, a couple articles on CBS kind of breaking down where teams are, and I want your thoughts on this off the jump. Gary Parrish has an article. It kind of highlights Arkansas and talks about how Calipari adding to his loaded class. He's got freshmen coming in. He's got transfers coming in, and they've certainly lapped Kentucky. I mean, this has been disastrous for Kentucky because they are certainly competitive, and they want to win. They want to be at the top. Makes sense. They were also sick of Cal because Cal lost to Oakland. He lost to St. Peter's. He wasn't doing damage in the NCAA tournament since, way back, maybe even a decade before he left. But with that, you have to accept the fact that when he goes to another program that has maybe not equivalent resources, but close resources from a basketball standpoint in Arkansas, that he may surpass them. And now Arkansas and Gary Parrish is way too early, top 25 and 1. They're a top 10 team at number 7, and I want to look at this really quickly. Again, you have to take this with a grain of salt because things are going to change. There's going to continue to be guys added to each rosters. But, Dan, look at the top 5 teams I want to highlight in this. Top 25 and 1 as of right now, according to Gary Parrish.
Can you just call it the top 26?
Number 1 is Florida. Number 2 is Duke. Number 3 is Michigan. 4 is Illinois. And 5 is UConn. Okay, what's in common with a lot of those teams? They're returning a lot of their players. Florida is returning Thomas Hawk, Alex Condon, Boogie Fland, Ruben Chinyelu. Duke is returning Patrick Ngangba, Caleb Foster, Caden Boozer, Dame Sarr. Michigan is returning Trey McKinney and Elliot Cadeau. Illinois is returning Tomislav Ivisic, Andrei Stojakovic, David Merkovich, Zvonimir Ivisic, Jake Davis, and Brandon Lee. And UConn is returning Silas Demery, Jaden Ross, and Braylon Mullins. Of course, Solo Ball will be hurt, but he's still on that roster. And then, heck, let's go to number 6. Michigan State's returning 5 of 8.
Yeah.
Jeremy Fears Jr., Cohen Carr, Kerr Tang, Jordan Scott, Cam Ward. There's a lot of talent returning to these teams. And again, that's all 6 of the top 6 in Gary Parrish's top 25 and 1, where, by the way, Kansas is not right now. What do you make of that? And certainly I understand, and something that we want is consistency from a roster standpoint for KU. At the same time, KU's team last year wasn't good enough to return all their players. I mean, I think there are some Jayhawk fans out there who think we need to return our players just like these other teams return their. Well, KU's players weren't good enough last year. I mean, these teams literally were teams that were Final Four contenders. Michigan State didn't make it. I get that, but they were really close. They lost to UConn barely in the Sweet 16. UConn lost in the title game. Illinois lost in the Elite Eight. They were a game away. Michigan won the national championship. Duke lost in the Elite Eight. They were a game away. Florida, they're returning a bunch of players who won the national championship 2 years ago, and they're back for another year. So just kind of your thoughts on that, because it seems to me like there's a balance.
Yeah, I think obviously when you look at the top 5, they're bringing back so many guys who have been in the program, been under the same head coach for, however long that they've been at those schools, that there's some consistency there, right? I think that's the key word. And I think it's easier for Gary Parrish to create this top 25 and 1. I'll just say top 26. Because of the consistency, right? Where Kansas is bringing in Keanu Dawes, they're bringing in Christian Reeves, they're bringing in Leroy Blyden. The only guy that Kansas is bringing back who had some meaningful playing time last year, I guess 2 guys, Cole Rosario and Paul Mbia, both those guys did not start. Cole Rosario started at the beginning of the year, then minutes slowly waned down to virtually nothing. He had some okay moments in the NCAA tournament, but you look at the back end of Big 12 play, just really kind of nothing, right? So there's no consistency with Kansas because we like Keanu Dawes, we like Leroy Blyden, we like Christian Reeves, but we have no idea how they're going to be able to play under Bill Self's coaching style or in a Kansas jersey or in Allen Fieldhouse, right? We understand that these players in a microcosm, if you look at them under a microscope, we can see tangibly what they were really good at, but also it has to do with chemistry as well. Who has chemistry? Well, Thomas Hawk, Boogie Flan, Alex Condon, right? They have chemistry. Chinlu, right? You look at Trey McKinney and Elliot Cadeau. Those guys have chemistry. Caleb Foster and Caden Boozer have chemistry, right? All the itches for Illinois. All of those guys, they have the chemistry together. You have to build the chemistry. That's why I think that they're in that top, because they've already played together and there is consistency there.
And there's talent and proof that they've won. That's
right.
the difference with Kansas. I get it. We want consistency. But I don't know that everybody would be thrilled if everybody came back from KU last year, because you didn't have the talent. You can't compete with these teams. And Kansas still has work to do if they want to be viewed as a national contender, beginning potentially with Tyran Stokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, consistency is important, but you can't just bring back average players, and no disrespect to guys like Marco Jackson or Jamari McDowell, but those guys weren't good enough to be on a roster and be major contributors to be with the teams that we've talked about.
Yeah.
So, yes, we want consistency, but there's a balance. Yes, if Kansas won the national title with these players like Florida did, or has had the success that UConn's had with these players, or was on the cusp of the Final Four like Duke and Illinois with these players, then yeah, we're going to want them back. Won the national championship with these players like Michigan, was on the cusp of the Final Four and a Final Four contender like Michigan State. You're going to want these players back. You have to have the talent, the success with these players to come back. So it's going to be a tough road to hoe for Kansas no matter who they get, even if they get Stokes, even if they get more talented players in the portal, because you're going up against that consistency and that talent. So again, I go back to, it's a balance of, yes, you want there to be some guys that come back. You're glad Rosario came back. You're glad Mbia came back. That's not nothing. You got 2 guys back. Is it senior laden or veteran laden like some of these other teams who've experienced success at the highest level? No, but it's a start. And again, you can't have everybody come back when you've lost 10, 11 games the last couple of years. You got to get some new pieces. You got to get some more talent.
Right. And, that's the thing with the transfer portal is that when you're continuing to rebuild your roster time and time again, right, it gets a little bit, I don't know, not overwhelming might not be the right word, but it's just a lot to kind of take in for the fan base, for the players, for the coaches, because you're continuing to be in a rebuild constantly when you're not bringing back all of these players that you've had in the program, right? And the transfer portal is such a crapshoot, right? I mean, you look at just some Kansas guys, right? We thought Jaden Dawson was going to play a much larger role than he did. He winds up not playing any role whatsoever for Kansas, right? But also on the flip side of that coin, who would have thought that Trey White and Melvin Council were going to have the years that they had at Kansas? Probably nobody, right? You weren't expecting that. Even looking outside of it, right? You look at Nick Timberlake. You thought he was going to be that sharpshooter guy sitting in the corner, and he winds up not being the player that we thought he was going to be. Even outside of Kansas, right? Jaden Quaintance for Kentucky. He was a really solid player for Arizona State, goes to Kentucky for $2 million and just doesn't find a role whatsoever. He dealt with injury too, but still, it's such a crapshoot where you don't have that consistency, and it's such a shot in the dark of just you have absolutely no idea what you're going to get out of these guys, whether that be good or bad. You don't know the kind of talent you're going to be able to pull out of these guys. Maybe they, are feeling homesick. Maybe they don't love moving around. Maybe they're not clicking or they don't have the chemistry with all these guys that they thought they were going to have whenever they did wind up transferring in, right? So when you have that consistency like Braylon Mullins and Silas Demery, two guys who played together for UConn, right, who have shown that they are able to do it at a very high level, and they're back in the same program underneath Danny Hurley, or Michigan State is even a better example of this. When you have Jeremy Fears, Cohen Carr, right, Carr Tang, Jordan Scott, Cam Ward, all those guys being able to come back, they're just going to try to run it back. You know what I mean? Like there's no team bonding experiences where there's trapped in a hotel on a 2-day trip out to Utah or whatever to try to, become better friends with each other. All these guys for Michigan State, they already know all of each other. They all live together. They've all lived together for years, right? So that's the thing that I think is maybe the biggest thing. Obviously, you do need to get pieces in the transfer portal. I'm not saying don't do that. That's not the way you should do it, is just by not utilizing it whatsoever. Even Michigan State is utilizing the transfer portal. They got Anton Bonk. They got Ethan Taylor. I mean, they have a lot of guys who are going to be coming in who are going to be nice players for them, but they have the consistency. Kansas has none of that. They have Paul Mbia, they have Cole Rosario coming back, and that is it, right? So you're going to have to build that consistency, and I can see that in theory whenever you're rebuilding teams like this, that could result in some slow starts, right? It's almost like a baseball team up north starting their years. It's like, yeah, Nick Springer talked about it where, Kansas in February, they're not getting as much field work in baseball, so they're going to have a little bit of a slow start. It's relatively similar where you have a bunch of guys who don't know each other. It's this ragtag group of guys that you've thrown together. You're like, hey, guys, all these guys who you didn't know 3 months ago, now these are going to be your best friends, and now these are going to be the guys that you're playing basketball with, as opposed to a Michigan State who has essentially 5 guys who were on that starting roster who they're like, all right, well, you guys did it last year. Let's just go back and do it again.
Yeah, which I don't want to make this doom and gloom by any stretch. I mean, that's just the situation that it is. If you're a really good team, there's more incentive to keep all your really good players.
Absolutely.
Compared to a team like Kansas, who was an okay team last year, and you need to make some moves. So, yeah, if you're a really good team like the teams we've been talking about, yes, do everything you can, and now you've got NIL resources where some of these guys are getting paid a lot more than they would if they, tried to play even in the NBA or overseas. So, yeah, Kansas now, as everybody is trying to figure out the formula to build that, because, yeah, I think in an ideal world, you very much would have the consistency of the roster, but also have the talent. That has to happen. I know that there's a top 20, maybe top 10 transfer portal ranking. Indiana has been at the top. Why don't you roll through this article, just some teams and some names, Dan, that CBS Sports has as winners to this point of the transfer portal?
Yeah, this is from David Cobb on CBS Sports, just his top 10 teams who have done really well in the transfer portal. Like you said, number 1 is Indiana. They've gotten a lot of really nice players. Aiden Sherrill from Alabama, Samit Yugutoglu from SMU, bringing in a lot of big guys. They got Marcus Burton from Notre Dame. We remember Marcus Burton last year from Notre Dame. He's a really nice player. So Indiana, I think that they're going to be doing a really good job next year. But again, they're going to have to rebuild it. They didn't even make the tournament last year, so we're going to see how well that plays out for them because they don't really have that consistency. But they're bringing in an entirely new roster. Texas is number 2 on this list. They're obviously bringing in some really nice players, especially from the Big 12. David Punch from TCU. They're also bringing in Isaiah Johnson, Amari Evans from Tennessee. So they got some really nice players coming in there as well. We'll certainly see how that works out for Texas. I think Texas is going to be a very nice team for next year. I don't believe that anything has come out about I'm blanking on his name. The really good player from last year who's going to be coming back.
Dalen Swain.
Dalen Swain. Yeah. Yes. Has he gone to the NBA draft? I don't believe.
I think he's in the draft.
He has
process.
gone to the draft process. Okay. Well,
I would not be shocked to see him come back.
There's only 71 guys in the NBA draft this year.
Yeah.
Which is, and we can.
Isn't that crazy?
We can probably spend a segment on that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
There's
unbelievable.
60 selections.
Which, do you? I guess I can roll through this too, but. Do you think that this is a good thing or bad thing for college basketball? Because I think it's a good thing for college basketball because it's more guys are planning on staying. Because I think that they're like, hey, I can either go test the NBA waters, I can sit on the bench
and honestly,
for 82 games.
It's probably long-term good for the NBA.
Sure.
Because you're getting better players come out of college.
Well, that's true. More development, right?
So NBA, I mean, we got one guy who is really, really good who's over 40 years old. And you've got a lot of guys who are in their 30s. That's the thing about these guys who enter the draft so early. And it's always been like this. It's like, okay, I'm good enough to play in the NBA from a talent standpoint, but you forget that there's 13 guys on an NBA roster, and you're going to the NBA as a 19-year-old, and you're not just competing against other guys who are your age. You're trying to win a roster spot, and you're trying to earn playing time over guys who are in their 20s and 30s.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to be easy. So I think long term, I don't know how the NBA executives feel about this right now with college basketball being able to pay these guys more than literally they would get at the NBA.
Right.
But from a talent standpoint, I think long term it's better for the NBA because you get Thomas Houck coming out when he's a much better player than had he gone out 2 years ago. When he certainly could have.
Yeah, certainly. I'll roll through this. I'll continue to roll through this. So number 3 on the transfer portal rankings is actually Providence. Obviously, they got the USF coach in there. He's a really, really nice coach, Brian Hodgson. Winds up getting Miles Bird from San Diego State, Malik Mack from Georgetown, Devin Vanterpool from FAU. Some really nice players from Providence, but a lot of turnaround as well. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. But again, they've gotten some really nice players. Number 4 is Louisville. They wind up getting Flory Badunga, obviously. Also Jackson Shellstat from Oregon, a really nice player from Oregon. They have Carter Knox from Arkansas, and then Algo Figueres from Iowa, who's a really obviously
hit that big shot.
Yeah, had a very massive shot for Iowa. So that'll be interesting to see how Louisville does. Pat Kelsey, actually, as much as I want to hate Louisville, I think Pat Kelsey's a really good coach.
Yeah,
and,
I don't.
He's a likable guy.
Obviously, like him anymore.
Well, sure, yes. I think he's a likable guy. I don't like the fact that they wound up getting Flory Badunga, but whatever. And then number 5 is Maryland. Maryland's interesting. They got Pharrell Payne and Andre Mills.
Man, they were terrible last year.
So yes, they were, but those are 2 guys that they're going to be retaining. They got a kid from New Mexico. They got DJ Wagner from Arkansas, who's a nice player. Bishop Boswell from Tennessee. So they have some nice players, and I think that they'll do a nice job of kind of rebuilding that, along with the consistency of the 2 guys that they're going to be retaining from last year. Their 2 best players, really. And then number 6 is Xavier, who is interesting, but they have a really nice transfer haul. True Washington from Miami, a really nice veteran shooting guard. They have Michael Nwako from LSU, a really nice center. Ruben Dominguez from Texas A&M. So they have some nice players. And then number 7, I'll stop at 7 and 8. Number 7, I guess I can go all the way to 9 and 10, but I don't want to talk about 9 because 9 is Missouri. Number 7 is Arizona State. They get a lot of really nice players. Paulius Morauskas from St. Mary's. Obviously, they hired the St. Mary's coach. He was a really highly touted recruit in the transfer portal, one of the top 10 guys, top 5 guys, according to most websites. Obviously, following his St. Mary's coach over to Arizona State. They also got Emmanuel Innocenti. So that's going to be nice for them. Joel Foxwell from Portland. He's a really nice player, too. So we'll see how Arizona State fares. Obviously, losing Bobby Hurley. I don't know. I like Bobby Hurley better than Danny Hurley, I guess, but he winds up getting fired, and so we'll see about Arizona State. North Carolina's in number 8 right now. They got Terrence Brown, Avdalas from Virginia Tech. They also are retaining Henry Vasar, which I think is really important for them. Obviously, a very nice player. Started at Arizona, was really great for Arizona 2 years ago, and nice player for North Carolina this year. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, they have Mike Malone coming in. So we'll see how that works out. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work out. Number 9 is Missouri. Don't want to talk about them. And then number 10 is Tennessee. Tennessee's bringing in a lot of guys as well. They're also losing a lot of guys. So there's a lot of turnover for Tennessee.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, the NBA draft entries that we talked about, early entry candidates, they're 71, but that's non-international. So obviously there's going to be a lot of international players selected. That's always how it goes. And the college basketball players who have entered the NBA draft, they must withdraw if they want to return to school by Wednesday, May 27th. A lot of transfer portal talk continues. Not a lot of movement from the top prospects. Kansas, I know we're going to continue to be a little bit impatient as we wait for some big names, either with Tyran Stokes or with some transfers coming in, as Kansas has some roster spots to fill. We'll fill you in on that. KU of the 16 teams in the Big 12 right now with their 3 commits in the portal, ranked number 7th on 24/7 Sports in the Big 12, and got to get some firepower to be considered a top 25 team. That's step 1, and then if you want to be a top 10 team, a national contender, then certainly 2 or 3 more major pieces need to be added. We'll continue to keep you abreast on everything on that front. After this, though, we're talking NFL draft, as we will do a little bit of a deeper dive into the Chiefs selections and how some national pundits feel about how the Chiefs did over the weekend. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Hey, a little bit later, Tyran Stokes will be announcing his decision. Dan, tell us the update on that. That's going to be coming later in the show. We're pre-recording the show, so we won't be able to get you that live, but we will open the show tomorrow with the decision from Stokes, which supposedly is finally happening.
Yeah, so it's going to be happening tonight. This is from Matt Norlander, obviously a good source, and this has been checked and everything. He says, source just texted to clarify. After initially communicating it was going to be 3:30 Eastern time, so that means 2:30 Central time, Tyran Stokes' public college commitment will now instead be sometime around 6:30 p.m. Eastern time or 5:30 Central time. So, again, we will open up the show tomorrow talking Tyran Stokes. It's also going to be on Inside the NBA on ESPN with Ernie, Shaq, Charles, and Kenny. So it's going to be obviously a very public announcement. It's going to be happening right towards the end of our show. So we are going to save everything for tomorrow and open up the show with the Tyran Stokes news. Obviously, check us out on all of our social media platforms. We will be posting and keeping you updated on all things Tyran Stokes, as this is presumably going to be happening tonight on Inside the NBA.
Yeah. Interesting.
This is. I'm just glad that we now have some clarity on it, because there's so many different people.
Supposedly, it's happening.
Goodman even said yesterday that, it's going to happen today, and it just wound up not happening today because nobody knew anything. So now that we have Matt Norlander here saying that, hey, he is going to do it Inside the NBA on ESPN tonight at what's going to be 5:30 Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Time, wherever you're watching. So, we'll keep you up to date. We'll keep you abreast, as you like to say, in terms of that commitment.
Interesting. Matt Norlander, like you said, well-respected journalist. Apparently it will come down to Kansas and Kentucky, and
how has this gone on so long?
Yeah. The respective seasons of Kansas and Kentucky, don't weigh in the balance, but a lot a lot is dependent upon this Stokes news that'll come out a little bit later today. Matt Norlander says he was told that Oregon is not in it. So it's going to be KU or Kentucky. We'll find out a little bit later. Again, 5:30 Central inside the NBA, you said. So make sure that you're tuned in on that front to see the official. Hopefully there's not 15 minutes of pomp and circumstance. Hopefully he just comes out and says it. But have to wait and see. Hey, Crown Automotive, our founding partners here at Kansas Nation. Check them out on South Iowa in Lawrence. A great line of new and used vehicles. If you're looking Toyota, they've got Camry, RAV4, Tundra, Taos, Tiguan's, whatever you would like. Miles Schneer and his team, the best service people, the best sales people in the land. Crown Automotive on South Iowa in Lawrence, or crownautomotive.com. Dan, as we await the Stokes news that, again, we'll break down tomorrow opening the show, let's talk about the NFL draft from a national perspective. Article written on NBC Sports highlighting the Chiefs. And let me know what you think about this, because Connor Rogers has an article, and I know that after Kansas City made the trade up to get Mansour Delane, you were not a fan because you were all in on the fact that the Chiefs could have gotten Delane at 9 if that's the guy they wanted. Well, how are you feeling about that right now, and how are you feeling about the rest of the draft? We touched on this a little bit yesterday, but NBC Sports has Kansas City getting an A. This is what they say. I'll read it real quick. The Chiefs feel like they are entering the second version of the Patrick Mahomes era. Overall, I'm a really big fan. Delane is an outside corner that can even travel with the opposition's best. They wisely doubled down in the secondary with slot cornerback Jadon Kennedy, who's a gnat around receivers despite being undersized. Talks a little bit later. He says R. Mason Thomas gives them a flexible speed rusher off the edge. He said he was really high on Nebraska running back Emmett Johnson because of his ability in the pass game. Tracks the ball well down the field, makes defenders miss. Also talks about Cyrus Allen, how he generates separation, one of 2 receivers that the Chiefs signed from Cincinnati. And he also likes Garrett Nussmeier as a kind of an older quarterback where he finds a spot he could potentially develop. So 7 selections for the Chiefs in this draft, and they're given an A on NBC Sports. Again, this is an article written by Connor Rogers. 2026 NFL draft grades. Chiefs, Bucks hit big. Jaguars failed to impress is the headline of the article.
Yeah. As time goes by, I think I'm more okay with it just because of the fact that I think the Chiefs did such a good job on the back end of the draft, right? When you look at the back end of the draft, I think Kansas City did a good job in terms of getting the offensive help that they needed, specifically not just with position-wise, but also with the actual players that they attained. I think that they got them for a steal. Again, I thought Mansour Delane was going to fall to 9. I didn't love the fact that you're giving up a 3rd for him, so there's a big gap between 40 and 109 where a lot of really solid players wind up getting picked up, but you assessed all the needs that you needed, right? You got Peter Woods at defensive tackle. I think that he is very underrated in that first round. Again, coming into the season, everyone thought he was going to be projected top 10 pick, winds up falling to 29. So you like that. I think with that D-tackle spot, with Peter Woods and how much of a problem he's going to be, I think you had to get him, and defensive tackle still was something that you needed to beef up, considering the fact that Chris Jones is not getting any younger, and Omar Norman-Lott's coming off of an injury. You need somebody on the defensive tackle spot. R. Mason Thomas, I think, is a fantastic pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs in that second round at pick number 40, just because of the fact that I saw some mock drafts where he was projected to go late first. He winds up going early-ish second at 40 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Undersized guy, a really nice player coming off of the edge. I think he's going to be a plug-and-play guy that you get right away. Mansour Delane, though, one more word on him. He is going to be the, no doubt, no question about it, starting corner, and this year is going to determine whether or not that's going to be a good trade-up or not. And again, you know, if you want to do this, if you want to look for something to be pessimistic about, I guess you can look at all the picks between 41 and 108 of all of the guys that Kansas City wound up losing out on to see kind of where that they would have been or whatever. You can even look at the fifth round as well. Kansas City Chiefs, they had 3 fifth-round picks. They wound up only getting 2 because they traded away a fifth and a third for Mansour Delane to jump up 3 spots. And again, the New Orleans Saints, they have a very aggressive GM who likes to do trades, who likes to get up, and also who kind of likes to screw over some of the people behind him, right? They needed a corner. If the Kansas City Chiefs really wanted a corner, the Saints were standing in their way. The Saints, from what I've heard, they were going to try to do something to maybe screw over the Kansas City Chiefs. So I understand the thought process of jumping ahead of them. I didn't think they should have jumped up to 6. They could have jumped up to 7 and maybe gotten away with a little bit less. They could have gotten away with maybe a 4th and a 5th instead of a 3rd and a 5th. But I don't know. We'll see. But I do like the first 3 picks. I think the first 3 picks hit all of the nails in the head in terms of what Kansas City Chiefs need. All 3 of these guys, I would assume, are going to be starters. You also got Jadon Kennedy out of Oregon, who, again, is going to play that sort of nickel corner, that slot guy who's always going to be on the inside. I love that. He's undersized, fell a little bit. I think it's bad news for Shamari Connor, but Shamari Connor has been susceptible to giving up some big plays as well. Shamari Connor also can move over to that safety spot. I talked about that yesterday as well. So I'm okay with this. I think Jadon Kennedy is really going to get some play this year. You look at Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson obviously is not going to be your number 1 guy. He led the entire nation in terms of yards per game last year for Nebraska at running back. The Chiefs wind up getting him at 161 in the 5th round. I love this pickup. I think it's bad news for Brashad Smith, but when you move Brashad Smith to the slot receiver, which is what I would do, I think that would be kind of a no-brainer, and I really like Brashad Smith in the passing game. That's where we saw Brashad Smith last year make a lot of his impact, was in the passing game, right? We didn't see a lot of him being that sort of prototypical style of running back where you're running within the tackles. He's more of an outside guy. If you just move him out there already, I think it's going to be okay, considering the fact that he started his career at SMU playing wide receiver. So I really do like that pickup with Emmett Johnson, and that's just going to beef up that running back room and give you more options, especially with an aging Kareem Hunt. You do have DeMarcado, right? I understand that. But Emmett Johnson, I think, has the capability to be able to make somewhat of an impact this year.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the Chiefs will do with Brashard Smith, because he's not very big, 5'10", but that's the same height as Tyreek Hill is listed at. And again, let's not forget, he was a 7th-round pick.
Right.
So he had an impact his first year as a 7th-round pick. So shout out to Brashard Smith on that front. And yeah, Emmett Johnson, again, just a classic Brett Veach, Andy Reid joystick type player, and then he can continue with the final picks.
Yeah, Cyrus Allen, I mean, Springer said yesterday, if you look at Cyrus Allen, I mean, if you only watch the KU
11 catches
Cincinnati game, you think, man, that guy is unbelievable. Obviously, that was sort of an exception to what the season that he wound up having, but still a really nice serviceable receiver that I think the Chiefs really need. And then when you look at him paired up with Jeff Caldwell, who the Kansas City Chiefs got as a UDFA, I think that they're both going to be very nice pickups for the Chiefs. I can see Cyrus Allen being one of those kind of guys. He's really shifty, a really nice route runner who can get open really easy, can stack his man, do a really good job in terms of those routes, has really good hands as well. So I think he's going to be a nice piece. And obviously when you have Patrick Mahomes back there throwing him the ball, that makes everybody else better, right? Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if you're Tyquan Thornton. Doesn't matter if you're Garrett Dieter. Whoever you are, you're going to be a much better wide receiver when you have Patrick Mahomes throwing you the ball. Now, is Patrick Mahomes going to be playing week 1? We're hearing that he potentially could be back. If not, you still have Justin Fields. That's going to change the offense a little bit. That's okay. Just make sure you get Patrick Mahomes healthy enough to get you back into the postseason and hopefully get another Super Bowl underneath his belt. But I like Cyrus Allen on here at pick 176. When you look at the big board, the Kansas City Chiefs, all of these guys, except for Mansour Delane, Peter Woods, and R. Mason Thomas, all these guys slid. Jadon Kennedy on the big board was 87. Chiefs got him at 109. Emmett Johnson on the big board, he was 82. Chiefs got him at 161. Cyrus Allen was 110. Chiefs got him at 176. And then Garrett Nussmeier, who, again, Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, it's okay. But he was at 101. Chiefs got him at 249, right? He slid a ton. So,
and he's a guy who was projected a first-round pick before the season.
Absolutely, right? And probably didn't have the season that he wanted to at LSU. Obviously, makes sense, right? But when you look at a guy who you can get into the quarterback room, develop under Patrick Mahomes and under Justin Fields. Now, I don't think Garrett Nussmeier can take much out of Justin Fields just because of very different styles of play, but I think he's going to be a very nice backup. And here's the other thing. I talked about using Garrett Nussmeier maybe as a trade option. Do you think, I guess for you, because you're the world's biggest Justin Fields fan,
yes,
who do you think has more trade value, I guess? Would it be Justin Fields or would it be Garrett Nussmeier? Because you have Garrett Nussmeier, who, again, was projected to be a first-round overall pick. You have a guy who gets in, develops under Patrick Mahomes. You look at it next year, do you either keep Justin Fields or do you keep Garrett Nussmeier and then use Justin Fields maybe as a trade option to maybe get in some other veteran guy at another position?
By any means necessary, I keep Justin Fields. There's no doubt about that. I love his game, and I'll be interested to see when the schedule comes out, which will be next month. It'll be in May. The official schedule will come out. We know the opponents for the Chiefs. Hopefully it's a lighter schedule. On paper it should be because the Chiefs went 6-11. But hopefully, I don't know. I mean, you'd like the first 4 weeks to maybe get the Raiders in there, and so just in case, old Patrick Mahomes isn't ready to go. But yeah, no, a lot to be excited for the Chiefs. Again, threw away last year. We talked about that a lot during the end of the season. It was like, let's just get past this and move on, because it was a weird year, and hopefully a healthier year, a more productive year for the Chiefs coming up in 2026. After this, we're talking KU tennis, KU baseball, KU softball. Tennis is off to the NCAA tournament. We're going to get some reaction from them as well. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. Well, we're going to hear some reaction from Kansas tennis as they are off to the NCAA tournament. But Dan, I know that you have visited Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Yes, I have.
And you really enjoy their plush man cave-like setting. Tell us a little bit more about Game Day Men's Health Lawrence, our friends here at Kansas Nation.
Yeah, if I could use one word
plush
to describe it, it would be plush.
Just
a plush man cave-like setting.
Just like the lawns that Custom Lawn provides.
That's also
They're
true.
Going to be providing our baseball update.
Don't we usually say lush? Or no, it's plush. Do we also say plush?
Well, I say lush, and then you threw plush in there.
Yeah. What does plush mean? Anyway, check out Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence. 50% of men by the time that they're 40 deal with low testosterone, and 60% of men deal with erectile dysfunction at some point in their lives. If that's you, if you're dealing with something along those lines, or if you don't know but you think you might have some of the symptoms, I urge you to go check out Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence. And guess what? First visit, 100% complimentary. It's on us. Actually, it's not on us. It's on them because it's free, right? It's a 3-step process. They'll take your blood. They'll check all your stuff. If you're good, that's great. You can leave feeling happy and healthy, but if not, they're going to make sure to get you back in the game. And it's not just erectile dysfunction and testosterone. It's also a number of different other things. They have IV drips that help you get hydrated to feel your best. They have peptides. They have vitamin B12 shots. They have a ton of different things. They have weight loss help just to make sure to get you healthy. It's a plush man cave-like setting. There's no white coat phobia whatsoever. They make sure that you're feeling comfortable because, guys, we know it's always really hard to go to the doctor. A lot of guys, they're not too thrilled about it. They don't want to go. They have those fluorescent lights that are flashing. It's all white and creepy in those doctors' offices. Not at Game Day Men's Health. So check them out. Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
All right, Kansas tennis off to the NCAA tournament for the women's tennis team. That is the 15th appearance all time. KU traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to take on number 6 seed Oklahoma. First round of the NCAA tournament. That's coming up this upcoming Saturday at 2 p.m. If Kansas wins, they will take on the winner of SMU against Wichita State. KU led by head coach Todd Chapman, 13-10. They're ranked number 39 in the latest ITA team rankings, 9-4 in Big 12 play. Those 9 wins are tied for the most conference wins in team history, 97, 98, and 2002. So a great season for Todd Chapman and Kansas women's tennis. KU was the 5 seed in the Big 12 tournament. They fell to the 4 seed Arizona in the quarterfinal round. A lot to like about this. And again, they're going up against a tough opponent, Oklahoma. They're 23-5, 13-2 in the SEC. They are coached by Audra Cohen. But Todd Chapman and Kansas women's tennis on to the NCAA tournament for the 15th time. Let's hear some reaction from them after getting selected.
All right, how can you send your season back-to-back NCAA tournament experiences? How can you use last year's experience going into the first round this year?
Yeah, I think last year taught us a lot of lessons. We know it's going to be tough. Honestly, we're super excited. We made it in. We've been working really, really hard the whole season, and I think the girls are all pumped, and we're just ready to go.
How excited are you to hopefully end your career with a couple wins here in the NCAA tournament?
I've been looking forward to since the season started. I'm just like really, really grateful for the opportunity to make it again, and with this team we have, it's really, really special. Great connections, great relationship, and I think we're ready for this. I think we can go far in it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Coach, just overall thoughts on the draw?
It's just great to be back in the tournament 2 years in a row, 3 of the last 4 years, and so we're excited to wherever we were going to go and whoever we were going to play. So I think that's the number one piece. And then, as far as the draw goes, it's a extremely tough draw right away, playing one of the top teams in the country and one we know very well, and we compete a lot regionally. So I think that section of 4 teams is probably the deepest section of 4 teams in the draw, and so, but that's you play at this time of the year to play the best, and we're going to get a chance to do that.
You have a lot of returners from last year's team. How can they bring this experience into this year?
Yeah, I think that's a big piece and a really good question. I think that's a part that we didn't have this time last year, and so I think a lot of these girls played last year in the NCAA tournament, so I think they have those feelings and thoughts and know what to expect, and also know what not to make it. And so we'll do our best to make it another match and against a quality team, and we feel like we've played a really good schedule this year. So I feel like we're prepared and played really good teams. So it'll be a fun day.
How do you feel about playing a little closer to home this year than you last year?
I don't know if that piece makes a big difference other than we don't have to fly. So that part was nice. And just an easy shot down 35. So from that standpoint, it does make it a little easier as far as travel when we're going to leave. Not worrying about anything flight-wise. But like I said, it doesn't matter where we were going to play and who we were going to play. We were just excited to be still competing this time of year.
Kansas women's tennis on to the NCAA tournament for the 15th time. Good luck to Todd Chapman and the girls as they take on Oklahoma on Saturday. KU baseball, they are in action tonight as they take on Wichita State. KU baseball, they're the hottest team in the country. No other way to put it. 33-11. They're going to try to sweep Wichita State tonight. To be determined. TBD.
That still works.
For the starting pitcher for both teams. But 6:05 tonight at X Stadium. KU 33-11. Like I said, 17-4 in Big 12 play. Nothing on the line in terms of Big 12 standings, but KU is 3 games up in the Big 12 conference over a couple different teams, and then they've got a big series coming up this weekend, 2 big series. They've got Arizona this weekend at Hoagland Ballpark, and then West Virginia to close out the home slate at Hoagland Ballpark next weekend before closing out regular season at BYU. West Virginia, one of 3 teams, along with Kansas, ranked in the top 25. So important to win tonight, keep the good times rolling, and then you hopefully can get 2 of 3 at least against an Arizona team who's in the bottom half of the Big 12 conference. That's tonight at 6:05. KU softball, Dan.
Yeah.
They are also in action against Wichita State, closing out their home slate.
Yeah, they're going to be hosting Wichita State. It's the last home game of the year for the Jayhawks. That's going to be tonight. It's actually at 5 p.m., so be sure to get on out there to Orocha Ballpark. Kansas right now, they're 32-18. They're 13-8 in the Big 12. They're coming off their 6th Big 12 series win. They won 2 of the last 3 games against Iowa State over the weekend. Jayhawks offense, they continue to shine. It ranks in the top 3 of the Big 12 in terms of batting average. They're batting .339. Really impressive stuff. They have 84 doubles on the year, 73 home runs on the year. Total bases, they have 723. Slugging percentage at .610. The offense has been on fire, and also the freshmen in the circle, as well as Lizzie Ludwig and Kaylee Washington, some of the others. The pitching has been really good as well. So Kansas continues to roll. They have won 7 of their last 8 series overall. They are currently sitting at 4th in the Big 12 with a 6-1 conference series record. Hopefully they can steal one against Wichita State tonight. It's the last home game, last time you're going to be able to see your Jayhawks here at Arroyo Ballpark. So be sure to get on out there.
Yeah, trying to make the NCAA tournament themselves. We know the KU baseball will be there. And one more note on baseball, as both baseball and softball battle Wichita State tonight. Sophomore Tyson Owens is named Big 12 Player of the Week and Big 12 Newcomer of the Week. The conference announced yesterday the first weekly honors of his career. What a monster week for Owens. He hit .625 with 3 homers, 7 RBIs, 9 runs scored, and a 1934 OPS.
Man.
KU went 4-0 last week, defeating number 20 Nebraska, and then going on the road and knocking off K-State in sweep fashion. Home run in 3 of the 4 games for Tyson Owens, and he had multiple hits in all 4 contests. Just another amazing performance from an individual for KU baseball. Again, they take on Wichita State tonight at X Stadium at 6 o'clock. KU baseball update brought to you by our friends over at Custom Lawn and Landscape. Visit them online at customlawn.com. Hey, if you're listening on ESPN Kansas City, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow talking Tyran Stokes and a lot more. But if you're watching on kansasnation.com, stick around. We got David Lesky inside the crown coming up. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. We're on Zoom now, joined by Inside the Crown's David Lesky to talk all things Royals baseball. David, thanks for joining us, as you have been every Tuesday. The 3.5 back of first Kansas City Royals is how I like to put it. Man, the AL Central is going to leave that door ajar, I feel like, all season. But, hey, you got to win some games, and the Royals got it done. Sweeping the Angels, dramatic fashion on Sunday. Another just terrible weather day. But Caglione ties it with the Royals down to their final out in the 9th, a 2-run homer. Lane Thomas wins it, 3-run homer, walk-off. A good series. It's not pretty, but that was 3 wins.
Well, the first 2 are pretty. I mean, and I will also say, like, going into the series, you saw Yusei Kikuchi on Friday and Reed Detmers on Sunday. And my thought was, well, that's 2 lefties. So they're in trouble because they were 0-6 against lefties. And before Friday, this is wild, and I think this is accurate. I'm not 100% sure because I looked pretty quickly. But the biggest lead the Royals had in a game started by a lefty, again, was 1 run before the series. And so when they scored 5, was the 4th inning on Friday night, 4th, whatever inning was, that was the biggest lead they had of the year when a lefty was on the mound against them. So exercise some demons. The first 2 games were fun. The third game didn't seem fun until it was the most fun of the 3. And yeah, I'm not, and you can say the 3.5 back, but they're also winners of 4 or 5. That's another way you can describe them right now.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? It's been trending in the right direction. There's a lot of things the Royals have to work through. I mean, you are what your record says you are, 11-17. Yeah. I get all that, but Bobby Witt, it turns out he can hit. He's all of a sudden up to 294. It seems like whenever his average is wavering a little bit, 3 days later, it's back up to where it needs to be. But approaching 800 OPS, Carter Jensen has been solid. Caglione, I mean, if Jensen and Caglione are going to hit like this, even though they haven't been, the Jordan Alvarez this season, they've still been really good. That can make up for some of the deficiencies of Salvi and Vinny so far. And Vinny, I think, has been playing better. He's been taking walks and taking better swings.
Yeah, Vinny's getting there. 3 home runs now? He started, his first was Detroit, right? Last week. Not this past week, but the week before. And then he hit one the next day, and then he hit one.
Was
it against Baltimore he hit it, or the Angels? It was Baltimore. So, getting going. And now they're going to a ballpark that really favors hitting. So that at least they've struggled on the road. I think they scored 30 runs on the road, and 9 of them were in one game. So going to Sacramento will help that quite a bit. But yeah, you're right. Carter Jensen, Jack Caglione hitting. Caglione hasn't hit like a star. Jensen's been pretty close to hitting like a star, but Caglione's been above average. I'm looking at the numbers right now. 263, 344, 425. You can't be upset by that with Caglione.
And a 2-run homer against a lefty to tie it.
2-run homer against left. It's funny, people are, that's why you got to play Caglione against all lefties. Well, he had a 515 OPS against lefties before that home run. So maybe we pull back on that a little bit. But look, at the same time, nobody else in the lineup has the kind of power Caglione has. Not Salvi, not Vinny, not Carter Jensen. Jensen might be close, but Caglione is like, we know what he is. He's got elite power. He's got 50 home run power, which I don't think Jensen does. Salvi almost did it 1 year, but that was, it's not going to happen again. So maybe you do play, maybe I don't know, but yeah, those two are helping quite a bit. Wick getting going, hitting his first home run on Sunday, that helps quite a bit too. If he can start hitting the ball over the wall a little bit, that would be ideal. It's funny, we talked about, well, Bobby Witt only had, it's different now, but he only has 1 run scored. This was before he scored 3 in that one game. And I'm going, yeah, yes, that is an indictment of Vinny and Salvi. It's also an indictment on Bobby.
Yeah,
a little bit. Like, drive yourself in, but also, like, he wasn't even doubling for the longest time. And so put yourself in scoring position. I know he stole some bases. That's not entirely fair. And I'm not saying it's 50-50. It's like 5% on Bobby, but there is some blame there that he didn't get much of. And so, yeah, drive yourself in a little bit. Yeah, things have started to come around. What I think will be interesting is, I mentioned that 30 runs on the road and whatever it is at home. Isaac Collins is like the poster child for that. I had it written down. I lost it right now, but he's 0 for 22 on the road. He's hitting like 350 in Kauffman Stadium. So, those guys need to get going, because when the Royals offense clicks, it's because it clicks 1 through 9, and it has not clicked 1 through 9 on the road at all. And look, they've got some other pretty ugly home road splits. Collins is just the ugliest because he's over, but they need to get it going on the road.
Yeah. David Lesky from Inside the Crown joins the show via Zoom. And David, I want to talk about the pitching staff a little bit. And I kind of wanted to focus on the last game against the Angels, because Seth Lugo, just a dreadful outing, 14 runs, 14 hits, 7 earned runs. But I don't know, maybe I'm just too much of an optimist. I think looking at it, the silver lining could potentially be that the bullpen got it done, right? And that was maybe one of
mostly.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things, like, heading into this, is like, oh, well, what's worse, the Royals offense or the Royals bullpen? And the bullpen was able to handle it. Do you think that's good for momentum, I guess, heading forward?
I do. And I wrote today, I still think they need to make changes. The bullpen, they don't throw hard enough. They don't get enough swing and miss. They need to make some shifts. And maybe it's come out already. I don't know, but there was a little sneaky transaction made last night. The Royals optioned Eli Morgan to AAA with no corresponding move yet. They didn't announce it, but it was on the website, so it's not like it was hidden. I didn't uncover anything special. And Lewinder, I'm a detective. I fancy myself. I'm a little Sherlock Holmes. No, it was funny. I was looking at the roster page and I was like, this doesn't look right. I don't know why. So I counted the pitchers and going, that's 12 pitchers. Then I go to the transactions. I was like, oh, option Eli Morgan. And then nobody really talked about this either. But on Sunday, Lewinder Avila pitched 1 inning as a starter and then was pulled. I've asked around. If there's an injury, nobody knows about it. I think he's coming up. It may already be announced. I haven't looked at social media or the transaction page in a couple hours. So I might have missed it already. But I think they're going to make a move there with that. I think they do need to make some bullpen moves. And I think it was with you guys. One of you asked, I think it was, that what are you more worried about, the offense or the road or the bullpen? And my answer was short term, the offense, because they got to score some runs, but long term, it's the bullpen, because I think the offense will score some. And the offense scored 46 runs in 6 games, and the bullpen did look better, but I don't think it's a sustainable better, because they don't do the things that modern bullpens do right now. And I do think they have some guys in the system who can do those things. So, yeah, but it was good to see them get going. Hopefully, Carlos Estevez, from what I understand, he's getting close to mid-90s. It's what I've heard. There's no radar gun.
That could be big.
It would be huge if he could come back. But, I think it's interesting, this whole, he got hit on the foot. Okay, we saw it. IL, great. I'm going to go on a rehab assignment, but he's got an illness and he can't shake it. Could he not shake it because he couldn't throw more than 92? I'm not trying to say they're liars, but it's like, hey, you're still feeling a little sick, right? I mean, you wonder a little bit about that. But from what I've heard good things about Velocity coming back, so hopefully that gets going and he can come up soon. But I think they just need to get more gas in that bullpen, because they just don't have enough right now.
Yeah, well, we've seen, being Royals fans over the years, what a losing team looks like. Unfortunately, it hasn't been as much as when I was growing up. But, the Royals have found ways to win here recently by scoring runs, even though the pitching hasn't been spectacular. And I think right now, given the fact that some of these guys have come around offensively, it might change next week. But right now, you're saying, okay, the bullpen's the bigger issue than the offense, because we assume these guys are going to hit. Even Vinny and Salvi are still under the Mendoza line. You think they're going to hit eventually. In terms of starting pitching, though, do you think it's just a one-off for Lugo, a one-off for Waka? Because certainly they've proven in a much larger sample size that they can get it done. I mean, man, Q left Lugo in until everybody in the Angels lineup had a hit, and he gave up 14 hits. Kind of a weird rainy Sunday, as there's been a lot of those, it seems like, already. But you feel okay about the starter still?
I do. What happened with Lugo on Sunday is what happens when you don't get a ton of swing and miss. And it's why you prefer it, because a strikeout has never been a hit. In the history of Major League Baseball, nobody has ever gotten a hit while striking out. They've reached base periodically, but they've never gotten a hit. Batted balls become hits. They just do. And so if you're going to give up contact, occasionally you're going to get BABIPs like he did. And if you look at those exit velocities, it's not that they shouldn't have been hit. Some of them shouldn't. Probably were a little bit lucky, but they weren't crushing the ball. It wasn't like they were taking these big swings and hitting mammoth home runs. Mike Trout hit a home run, yes, but like Zach Neto had 3 soft hits, I feel like. And so one of those things that just kind of happens sometimes. And with and he settled down too. I mean, he didn't give another run till the 7th inning, which I thought, when it's funny as I'm watching a game, I'm sure you guys do this too. You're like, okay, what's the story of this game? And sometimes the story of the game is really clear, and it never changes. And when it got to the 7th and the Royals were kind of clawing back and Lugo came back out, I was like, all right, I want to think like the manager. Why would you bring Seth Lugo back out? Why would you do this again? My thought, and I didn't hear what Q said actually, so maybe he did say this, but is this weather is hard to pitch in. And Seth Lugo has kind of figured it out. I mean, he had 4 scoreless innings. He wasn't great in those innings, but he worked around trouble, all that. His pitch count was low enough. Do you want to bring out somebody who we don't know if he can figure out how to pitch in this, or leave the guy in who has dealt with it and figured it out over the last couple innings? And so I think that was kind of why. I also think they were worried about a rain delay and all that. And it bit them. Lugo got a hit, and it wasn't hard contact again. So I don't worry so much about that. And Waka kind of hit a wall a little bit. He was pretty good until then. So I'm not terribly worried about that either. The big thing for me, Cole Reagans was absolutely filthy dominant on Saturday night. Like, maybe the best he's been as a Royal. I'm trying to think. There was the game. Do you remember last year? It was on that 1-8 road trip to Cleveland, New York, and Detroit that Reagans pitched the Sunday game and dominated the Guardians. Royals badly needed a win that day. They got it. Ended up losing 6 in a row after that. Yeah. So didn't end up helping in the short term, but that was pretty close. And there were a couple games in 24, but that might have been the best Reagans has looked all year. And if Reagans is going, and he's found his mechanics, his arm slot, all that good stuff, the rest falls into place. And I'm excited to see Bubic tonight, because he hasn't been wonderful. The thing he does well, he gets chased. The A's do chase. They don't hit lefties well, even at that ballpark. So I think he has a chance to rebound a little bit too. Reagans and Bubic, those are the two. Lugo and Waka are the 3-4 starters. I don't care what game they pitched in the opening series. If Reagans and Bubic are going, you feel really good about Lugo and Waka as the 3-4, and then Cameron as the 5. I'm not really concerned about the rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. David Lesky from Inside the Crown joined the show via Zoom. And David, wanted you to kind of expand on the upcoming series against the A's. Kansas City, obviously coming off of a 8-game road losing streak, right? I mean, they've lost 8 in a row on the road. So, I mean, do you think maybe it's just me because of the name bias? I always think the A's are just terrible, but they're not terrible. At least they're not like dreadful this year. They're 15-13 right now. You got Bubic on the mound.
Are they still in first place?
That sounds right. At least
I think they are.
Yeah.
God, the Astros pitching is dreadful.
Yeah, they're in first
Angels are the Angels. How about that?
Yeah. So I mean,
they're the only team over 500 in the AL.
Oh gosh, that is just awful. But do you think that the A's is the team for the Chiefs to be, or the Chiefs. We were just talking Chiefs last segment, for the Royals to be able to break this 8-game streak?
I don't think the Chiefs can beat them, but I do think the Royals could. Yeah, look, it's an athletic football team, but they don't play baseball.
Right. Yeah, they don't have the bats. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the A's. You look at their roster; it's a pretty good roster. The problem that they have is they struggle at home because that park is just awful.
Yeah.
Their offense has a chance to be incredible. I mean, you look at Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson's had a tough start, Brent Rooker's had a tough start. He's back from the IL now, but Shea Langoliers has been really good.
Cortez.
Cortez, where did he come from? Like legitimately,
yeah. Right.
They've got some legit bats. I actually like their starting rotation. It really struggles at home. And like a guy like Luis Severino, who I think pitches tomorrow for them. It's Aaron Savali, although they're still TBD, but it should be Aaron Savali tonight, then Severino, and then Jeffrey Springs in the finale on Thursday. Those guys, it's just a bad park for them. And so, the Royals bats need to take advantage of that. And if you asked me a week ago, can they? I'm like, no. There's no proof they can. But right now, they go into the series with some confidence, and I think that's really big. But the Royals, the pitchers have to hold down a really good offense that it is helped by their park as well. So it's a tough series. The A's a lot of times have had the Royals number in the past, and remember they came into Kansas City in June last year when the Royals were just horrendous.
Swept.
I will tell you, so the Alex Gordon Hall of Fame game was that series, and it was the first game I've ever been to, I think, that I left before the 6th inning, for reasons other than weather, because I was like, I'm not watching this. I have better things to do with my time. I'm leaving, and I left the game. Because it was that ugly. But then they went to Sacramento at the end of the year. They won 2 or 3. Was that the last series of the season? I think it was.
Yeah.
Carter Jensen hit that 9,000-foot home run.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Which, by the way, have you seen that got reduced? Like, it was 482 when it happened, and then all of a sudden now it's 456.
What?
Come on, people! I'm calling it 482. It's never going to be anything but 482.
Yeah. Right.
It's it's the stadium shirts. Like, I still call it whatever. I still call it 482 feet. So maybe they got some of their A's demons out in September. I don't know. But it's a big series because after that, and not that the A's aren't good, and then they have a better record than the Mariners, but I think we all believe the Mariners are a better team than the A's. Then it goes Seattle. Is it Cleveland, Detroit, or Detroit, Cleveland? I can't remember which order they are, but they're both home. Yeah. So that's a really big 10-game stretch because Cleveland's a 4-game series. It's a really big 10-game stretch after the A's series. So again, the A's are a good team, or they're not a bad team, at least. But the Royals probably need to take 2 or 3. They need to feel if they go into that series in Seattle at, what would they be, 13-19? Is that right? No, 13-18. I think you feel pretty good. I think you feel okay. So it's a big one, and then it's a really big week and a half for the Royals if they want to get back in this race, because they're not out of it. Against all odds, they are not out of this race yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, only 3.5 back. And the interesting thing about the A's is Lucas Erceg and Mason Miller aren't coming out of that bullpen. So here's a question for you: what record? Let's say either of these teams, one of them is up after 6 innings in each of these 3 games. The team that's winning, what are the chances that they go 3-0 if they have the lead after 6 innings in this game, in this series?
That's a good question. I'm looking at the A's bullpen right now. Justin Turner's been really good for them. Hogan Harris has been good for them. Scott Barlow.
Harris was like a lefty specialist. And who's the other guy? I'm forgetting. They had last year before Erceg. Or maybe no, it was 2 years ago. It was because they had somebody, Erceg and Miller. They had another righty, I think.
Yeah, who was that? It was. Oh my God! Why did you ask me? If you hadn't said anything, I would have been able to tell you.
Yeah.
I got to look this up really fast
Yeah,
because
but
I
they
need
had
to
kind
know.
of a 7-8-9 that was sneaky good. Of
They
course, that was their
did.
last year in the Coliseum. But and Miller actually finally gave up some runs last night. He had, I think,
He,
34 straight scoreless innings.
yeah, but
The
did you
Padres.
see how it happened
Uh-uh.
with the foul ball that was Austin Adams was the other one.
Austin Adams. Okay.
He was pitching really well. But you're right. I mean, the bullpen, the A's bullpen is not as good as it was. I think it's better than the Royals right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you look, like I said, he's walking a lot of guys, but he's had a good year. Sterner's been good. Scott Barlow has been okay for them. I think he's going to hang around forever. It feels like,
Yeah.
and be okay. I think you want to get a lead because I think the A's bullpen's going to do a better job of holding it. Ideally, with the Royals bullpen, you'd like a 7-run lead heading into the late innings of these games. But but like you said too, they did a nice job during this series against the Angels. I mean, what did they end up giving up? What did they give up? Just one earned run, right? Because Cameron gave up all three
So
on
Lugo
on
gave up
Friday.
all.
Louis up
Lugo gave up all
7, and then
7.
they wait. It was 10. It was 11 and 9, and so the
They
10th
got
inning on
one. They
Ursay.
got one in the 10th on what was that? The Jensen pass ball.
Yeah, but it was unearned anyway because it was the
Right.
Manfred man on
Right.
second. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think they gave up one earned run on Sunday. So they had a good weekend. There's some confidence heading into that. I'm curious to see how they use Avila, if he is the guy who's called up or if he's already been called up and I missed it. But I think that'll be interesting too. Yeah, it would be ideal if they had a lead late because I I don't know. I feel like a guy like Mark Leiter Jr., for example, is the guy who I think is, you look at the ERA and you go, oh, the Royals should crush him. And then he's the guy they don't,
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it'll be a good series. But again, I think it's a lot more important than we may be considering. The other side of that too, if the Royals are going to get back in this race and they're going to be a wild card team, I'll go back to tiebreakers. The A's are going to be there. And I don't know if they're going. I don't know where they're going to finish, but if they finish with the same record as the Royals better have won the season series against them. So, all these series against AL teams are huge. The National League series, to me, obviously wins are wins, and you want them, but they're not as big because you don't worry about a tiebreaker with them. So, this series is big for a number of reasons, but mostly because they're heading into a really tough stretch right after.
Yeah. David Lesky from Inside the Crown. David, last time we talked to you was last Tuesday, and then just so happened last Wednesday, the Royals announced their plans for the new ballpark. So last time we were talking to you, we were talking about Washington Square Park, about how it's not going to be nearly as big as what we need. And then all of a sudden, Royals, they get 85 acres of
85 plus.
Yeah, 85 plus acres of land just south of Washington Square Park. Your thoughts on that? And, in terms of, them working with the Hall family, a Hallmark, all this different kind of stuff. I mean, obviously this is massive for just Kansas City in general.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. First of all, we don't know a lot yet. They had a press conference to say not a whole lot of stuff, which I thought was interesting. But still, the other thing, look at the rendering, enjoy it. Don't pay too much attention to it. You're not going to have a fountain in the batter's eye. I'll tell you that right now. It looked really cool. I don't think there's going to be a running water display directly where a hitter can see. Just a hunch. But what you can look at from that rendering is what it looks like beyond the stadium, what you're going to see as your skyline, as your view. And that's going to be incredible. I love how it connects the city. I love the area it's in. I love the possibility that you can maybe get a train from Olathe into Union Station and get in that way. I love that the streetcar drives right past it. Yeah. All this stuff is incredible. And I love that there's a partnership. The Hallmark and the Royals, there should be a partnership, right? Like Crown Center should be involved with the Royals. It's the Kansas City Royals and Crown. Like it all makes sense. I think there's some hurdles still to jump through that nobody's wanting to say out loud, but there will be moments that you're like, oh, is this in trouble? It's not going to be in trouble, but it will seem like it at moments. I think it's great for the city. I think it's great. Would I like it if everything was fully privately financed? Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't have the energy to fight that battle. I just don't, because it's not going to happen. So like this is the Royals and private partnership are taking on a huge chunk of this money. I mean, $2 billion is a lot of money to be putting out there. Think it, knowing Kansas City and the architecture that we have here, the sports architecture that we have in the city, it's going to be incredible. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think it's going to be a corporate cookie cutter. So it'll be a lot more PNC Park than, I'm trying to think of a bad one, than whatever it's called in Washington. Like, it won't be just a generic stadium. It'll be really cool. Again, maybe don't pay too close attention to that render inside the park, but you can look at it to see like the feel of the area. I'm really excited for it.
I just hope they still have a Royals shaped, logo shaped jumbotron. That's all I care.
Yeah, the
about.
crown. Crown vision and the fountains, man.
What I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, so take it with a grain of salt, but the Royals have said that shape on the scoreboard makes it really difficult because of the resolution, right? Because everything is is horizontal and that's vertical. And so we see it at the stadium. They show replays on the top half because that's your vertical or your horizontal part. I wonder if we see something a little bit different, but it's much more, it's wider than tall, but it still would have a crown. John Sherman was very clear about that. So I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about that. I do wonder how they're going to work that scoreboard to make it a little bit easier for the video crew.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if they can find it in their heart to fit in an extra advertiser or two if they absolutely had to.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be too upset. I love, not to go off on a tangent, but when they put the ribbon boards in the outfield at Kauffman Stadium, when they first started, every score was on those. Do you remember that? Like every single score of every game was on those the whole game, and there were little blocks for advertising.
It was awesome.
Now it is literally 2 scores and advertising all the way. There's nothing even on the right field one anymore. So I think they'll be happy to find more space to get a little more advertising money in there. It's it's the way it's another one of those things that I'm not going to fight.
Yeah, are they going to go? Sure. Are they going to go naming rights at all, or?
I don't know. I think it's a good question. I'm really curious about that. Do they keep Kauffman? I think they have to keep the Kauffman name somewhere. Is it like they do? Well, I mean, Baltimore is a bad example because there's Oriole Park at Camden Yards. But like, do they do something like Hallmark Park? That's hard to say. But Hallmark Stadium at Kauffman Yards, something like that could work. I don't know. Maybe it's the Quick Trip Park is what's coming. And hey, you know what? If they've got the rollers at the stadium, if they call it Quick Trip Park and they've got
I'm in
taquitos out there,
I'm there.
I haven't tried the new Nashville hot rollers yet, but I have seen them. I'm intrigued. But it's got to be later than 9:15 in the morning for me to actually grab them.
Yeah, that's definitely not a morning food. Yeah. But let's make a pact that by this time next week we've all tried them and we can talk about that next week.
You know what? That's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make.
I'm fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
David Lesky, Inside the Crown, insidethecrown.substack.com. Check him out. Give him a subscription. We always appreciate your time, David, and let's get some wins and we'll chat with you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
More coming up on KansasNation.com. Hey, I want to tell you about our friends over at Central Bank. With Jayhawk checking from Central Bank, Jayhawk fans can carry their pride with them wherever they go. The official Jayhawk debit card, a simple way to show school spirit every day. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. And as the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. Learn more about Jayhawk checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. That's jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. David Lesky, Inside the Crown, joined us last segment. Great stuff, great insight from David. Again, insidethecrown.substack.com. A subscription is completely worth it. The Royals, they're 11-17, but they're only 3.5 back of first. A wide open AL Central, a wide open American League. Should be exciting. They've got 3 at Sutter Health Field in Sacramento against the A's, beginning tonight at 8:40. All right, we broke this news a little bit earlier. pre-recording the show, but according to Matt Norlander of CBS Sports, Tyran Stokes will be committing very shortly. If you're watching us live on KansasNation.com, 5:30, he will be committing on Inside the NBA on ESPN. We're going to open the show reacting to Stokes' decision tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports. But Dan, in honor of Tyran Stokes committing, we want to make sure we squeeze this in. Top 10 reasons that Tyran Stokes should commit to play basketball at KU.
That's right.
Look
yes,
at that.
I'm doing my top 10 things in Lawrence that I think Tyran Stokes would like.
Yeah, okay, I was close.
Well, yeah, it's reasons that Tyran Stokes should come to Kansas, but mostly it's just like I'm trying to pitch him on the city and why he should come here. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff here in Lawrence that I don't think that they have in Lexington, Kentucky. So yeah, it's my top 10. Because this is actually an idea that we had a while ago. It was top 10 Lawrence things, but now it's top 10 Lawrence things that I think Tyran Stokes would like.
Okay, because you and him are boys.
Yes, because if anybody knows Tyran Stokes, it's me.
Yeah.
So I'll start off here with number 10, an absolute classic. This probably should be higher, but I think that this could be a nice little reason for him to come. Proximity to Kansas City.
Okay, that's nice.
It's a short drive to KC. If you think Lawrence is a small town, it's not your style. Well, guess what? Kansas City, they got a bunch of stuff, and it's just a couple minutes down the road, man. You want to go
KCK, the Chiefs are going to be there.
Yeah, we got
not when Stokes is here. But.
Yeah, well, not when Stokes is here. That's right. But you got a bustling nightlife over in Kansas City. It's a big city. You know what I mean? You don't get that in Kentucky. Lexington's not a big city. Louisville's a relatively large city, right? But you're not going to
go to Kentucky to go hang out in Louisville.
Bingo. Yeah, you're not going to go to Kentucky and then spend all your time in Louisville, right? People are going to hate you. You know what I mean? People in Kansas City, they're going to love you, Tyran. They're going to love you. So, that's one reason that you should like Lawrence, is because we're so close to Kansas City, but we're our own little community as well, right? So you don't have to deal with the Kansas City hustle and bustle all the time. It's a slower pace.
Yes.
It's kind of nice.
Go and leave at your leisure.
Yes.
I like it. That's a nice little reason.
Nice, just trip up either K10 or I-70, depending on where you live. I'm a K10 guy. It's my neck of the woods, as Sean likes to say.
Hop, skip, and a jump.
Yes. Number 9 on my top 10 Lawrence things that I think Tyran Stokes would really like. I'm going to go with Muncher's Bakery.
Muncher's, great poll.
By the way, because
didn't you not know about this for the longest time?
It was a while.
Oh my God.
I think because we had done the old show together for, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe. It was about a year or so. It was about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. I went that entire time, and I didn't even know about Muncher's. And I think it was until I started here when I finally did it.
I remember telling you on air about it. Yeah. What did you get?
I got, oh gosh.
They're not one to advertise. It's just kind of if you know.
Yeah, if you're asking me about like what I got, like I have like a scroll and it's going to like bounce off because I got a lot of different stuff. I got like 25 donuts there.
I saw some couple who probably
didn't eat them all in one sitting, by the way.
Probably young 20s, but they walked in. We took Ava there for her 3rd birthday.
Nice.
And I mean, they walked in and they got a box and they were like not large individuals.
Sure.
I mean, thin couple, 20s, probably had some beers the night before. I don't know. They got a box. I mean, and this dude who probably is, I'm guessing he weighed like 150.
Oh,
it's a skinny guy. He got like
really
a
skinny.
Long John, a fried cinnamon roll. They filled this box with like 12 or 14. I'm like, man, I need to do that one day.
Yeah.
Because it's like you feel bad eating a donut. But as Joey says in Friends, if you're going to do something wrong, do it right.
Yes.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way you should do it.
I just had so much respect for them.
Yeah, you don't go to Muncher's and get one donut because you'll feel bad about yourself. If you're going to go to Muncher's, get
You make it
15
count.
donuts,
right?
Eat them all, and then you're still gonna feel bad, but your taste buds are gonna love you.
The mini orange donuts are awesome, but the fried cinnamon rolls, you have to have the mini orange.
So the fried cinnamon rolls are great.
Icing on top.
Long Johns are great. My favorite is by far and away the strawberry cream cheese donut.
Oh, regular cream cheese donut is my
and the regular too. It's so good. That might be that. It's like 1A and 1B. By the way, Muncher's, they're doing my wedding cake.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That'll be good.
And
I was gonna say, have your eyes ever rolled over to the cake section?
It's not just that. So we have we're getting 2 small cakes. We're getting a tiny cake for Piper and I to enjoy at the wedding. Mm-hmm. We're getting also a relatively maybe a medium-sized cake for the rehearsal dinner. And then instead of cake for all the guests, we're actually getting Muncher's donuts for all the guests.
Oh, perfect.
Instead of cake.
That's fantastic.
I know. Isn't that a great
Donuts
idea?
and beer, man.
Oh,
Let's do it.
donuts
All
and
right,
beer.
that's a good reason for
I
Stokes
think
to come here.
Tyron Stokes would like Muncher's donuts.
Yeah.
Now, maybe don't go there every day because we still need you to be able to dunk a basketball. But that's a reason, right? They're open 24 hours. It'd be nice for some late nights for you. Number 8 on my top 10 Lawrence things that I think Tyran Stokes would really like. I'm going to go ahead and go with Louise's West. He seems like a Louise's West guy to me. Now, he could be a Logies guy too. So that's why so that's why probably Logies. Because I think
What are you trying to
Louise's
say
West
about
is-
Logies?
No. Logies is an 18-up bar.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so you
Forgot about that.
you can go when you're 18 and not drink. I'm not saying he should go there and drink, but it just go and enjoy the nightlife of Lawrence.
Yes.
And go and listen to some
so
music.
I'll put Louise's West or Logies.
You know what? Yeah, maybe don't put Louise's West on there because I think it's a 21 and up bar.
Let's go with Logies.
Let's go with Logies. I want to put Logies in there because it's 18 up and they have really good chicken tenders. I've had them before.
What?
Yeah.
I forgot they have food there.
I went there once. I was doing something with one of my friends. It was like a Tuesday night. It was really weird. There was nobody in there.
Yeah,
And
sure.
we were walking by, and I was like, I've never been to Logies before. And they're like, you want to just poke your head in? And I was like, sure. So we walked in. We were like literally the only ones there. I was sitting at the bar, and I was like, I didn't eat dinner yet. So I got some chicken tenders. Good chicken tenders. Really good. So maybe he can enjoy some chicken tenders, maybe some fries, and enjoy a little bit of the nightlife. You know what I mean?
Good pull.
He does seem more like a Logies guy to me. So that'll be fun. Number 7. On my top 10 Lawrence things that I think Tyran Stokes would like, we were on the right side of history. Obviously, when you talk about
Number
the Civil
7.
War,
Nice.
yes, talk about the Civil War, and this is more for a Kansas-Missouri thing, but also with Kentucky. Kentucky, technically, when the Civil War started, they were a neutral state. Right, and then it wasn't until September of 1861 where they declared that they were with the Union. But then there was a shadow government where it kind of split the population, where about 100,000 people joined the Union Army and about 40,000 people joined the Confederate Army. Right, for Kansas, the Civil War essentially started here, and we were always on the right side of history.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Good guys, bad guys situation.
Good guys, bad guys. So historically, I mean, you're on the right side. We're the good guys.
Imagine being
Kentucky
with
was
the
on
good
a
guys.
fence.
Imagine being with the good guys and then choosing to be with the bad guys.
I know. Could you imagine that?
No, I
mean,
can't.
literally, you're
Terrible
like,
decision.
Yeah, I know, right? Sure. Maybe there were some Kansas guys who
I'm a good person and now I'm a bad person. I
Right.
don't think a lot of people do that.
No.
but occasionally there are.
I can't imagine that's true. But Kansas again on the right side of history. Constantly.
It's another feather in our cap.
Number 6 on my top 10 reasons why I think Tyran Stokes would like Lawrence. We technically have more wins than Kentucky, our basketball team.
Yes.
That is true. Like if you go back and you count, if you watch each individual game, I implore you to do this. Maybe you don't have to watch all of them. I don't even think you can watch all of them. But technically, Kansas is a more winning basketball program. They have won more games. I don't care what Charlie Baker has to say about it or what the FBI has to say about it. Kansas has won more games.
I absolutely hate the fact that Wikipedia has Kentucky as having 6 more wins than us.
It's laughable. But here's the thing.
So we had to get rid of how many? 15?
Sounds
unofficially.
right.
We'll get those back. I got a feeling we'll get those back.
Oh, 100%.
By the way, did you know
especially with the way that Kentucky's going right now?
Did you know that here's a list of teams that have more wins than Louisville? I'm just going to give you a few.
Okay.
More wins than Louisville, all-time college basketball. Oregon State,
Ugh.
Penn,
Ew.
Utah,
No
Western
way.
Kentucky, Notre Dame, Temple. I mean, Temple's 6. People probably knew.
Wow.
Isn't that ridiculous? I mean,
Utah
I just wanna
shocks me.
Bring that up.
Utah is a little shocking. Were they
It
good
is.
like
They
back
had
in the
Rick
day?
Majerus. Remember the Majerus years?
Did Scott Pollard's dad play at Utah? Pearl Pollard?
Well, I don't know. You would have found that out in watching.
Heart of Pearl.
Heart of Pearl.
I think he played at Utah.
Yes, Pearl Pollard.
Look at me.
Yes, you found that out watching Heart of Pearl, correct?
I did. Yes,
Love
the
it.
E60. Watch that. It's a really good.
I have seen it. It's great.
Really good piece. Oh yeah,
Yes.
I was telling them the fans, the audience,
The audience.
our
The audience. Number
loving
5.
fans. Number 5 on my top 10 Lawrence things that I think Tyran Stokes would like: the Kansas Nation Studios. I think, Tyran, if you want to come here and check it out and watch our TVs and maybe shoot
Sit
a
on
little
the
pool,
couch.
sit on the couch.
Man, maybe we get Brian Haney back in here. If we get Tyran Stokes, then Haney won't have the summer off from coming
true.
in. We could get Haney in on our show and
do a little
and show Stokes.
A little one-on-one with him. That'd be
love it.
fine. He can sit on this couch. Is really comfortable. It's leather. I think he would really like it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a golden tee. I don't know how good
We got a
Tyran
pool
Stokes is at
table. We
golden
got
tee.
shuffleboard.
Yeah, we have some good stuff. We can give Tyran Stokes his own locker.
Yeah.
I think that'll be
Nation Studio.
the biggest selling point. Plus, you can come hang out with us and be friends with us. I don't know. That could be something. If you want to come and hang out with Sean and I, we're a good hang. You know.
We are.
Also, if any of the listeners want to hang out with us too.
We are a good hang.
Yeah, but
We'll let you in, swing by.
Yeah, swing by. But Tyran Stokes, anytime you want to come by the Kansas Nation Studios.
Assuming you pick KU.
Please. Well, yeah, assuming that you pick KU. Number, what am I on? 4? Number 4 on my top 10 reasons why I think Tyran Stokes would like Lawrence. I'm going to go with Clinton Lake, just because of the fact that, yeah, sure, Lexington has lakes, right? But are they
as gorgeous?
Are they as
Clinton Lake?
I
where
can't
you look
imagine
out
they are.
on the horizon.
Yeah.
And see the sun setting.
You can go and rent a boat.
You could.
And
Tyran Stokes seems like a boat guy.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Get here in the summer, man. Rent a boat. Go out there and just enjoy your time. Does he like fishing? I bet he likes fishing.
Get here tomorrow. That'd be good.
Yeah. Why not? Go fishing at Clinton Lake. Check it out. Also, right across the dam, you got Eagle Bend right there. Go shoot 9. Tyran, if you're a golf guy, it's right there. I'm sure they'd, maybe cut you a deal, especially if you commit to Kansas. Number, what am I at, 3 now?
3.
Okay, number 3 on my top 10 reasons why I think Tyran Stokes would like Lawrence is we have a competent head coach.
Yes.
Mark Pope is, would you say goofball or knucklehead would be a better
He's
fitting
not
name?
as corny as Tang.
Well, no, that's a high bar.
But, I mean, it's really, I understand that there's dollars and cents to everything, but Mark Pope, Bill Self, come on now.
It's not even a competition.
It's not a competition.
Bill Self is a smooth-talking, gunslinging
Hall of Fame,
son of a gun.
national title winning.
Hall of Fame, yeah. Well, Mark Pope won a national title when he was a player, but what has he done as a coach?
Yes.
No.
Well, and was he impactful as a player? I don't remember. Mark Pope stats in Kentucky.
So. I think he was really good, wasn't he?
I mean, he played a little bit in the league. Let's see. He averaged for his career 9.4 points per game. But man,
but Bill
let's see what he
Self
did. Yeah, he was not good. He transferred from Washington. I didn't know that.
Is that true?
First 2 years he played in the Pac-10.
Wow.
Washington. No, he was not fantastic by any stretch. He averaged 7.6 points per game. He could stretch it a little bit, though. Didn't shoot a lot of threes, but shot 41% from 3.
I mean, that'd be like Mitch Lightfoot coming back to Kansas and being like
I love Mitch Lightfoot, though.
Sure,
man.
I do too.
Big fan. 15 years when Coach Self hangs it up. Let's be feeling a little Lightfoot.
Yeah, get Mitch Lightfoot to come in.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Bill Self, what was his main role as a player at Oklahoma State? Facilitator. He got the best player the ball. You know what he can do? He can get you the ball. Mark Pope, all he did was sit down
Tyran
low
Stokes,
and be ugly.
You will have the ball, and I have a feeling you're going to like the top 2 reasons on this list as well.
Absolutely. Hey, number 2 on my top 10 reasons why I think Tyran Stokes would like Lawrence. Allen Fieldhouse.
I didn't know if that was going to be number 1.
Well, it was kind of a toss-up between number 2 and number 1, but, obviously the old barn here has the original rules of basketball.
Rupp Arena doesn't even sell out every time.
I know. How many times in a row has Kansas sold out?
1, 2, 3, 4. A lot.
A lot.
Yes.
Okay. I like
consistently.
that. It's good math by you.
Consistently
sold out. They're going to treat you. I mean, do you remember when Tyran Stokes came to Allen Fieldhouse at one time? And
I do.
The
It was
student
against Brigham
section,
Young, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. It was against BYU, and the entire fan base was saying, "We want Tyran." Clap, 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 clap.
Sounds right.
Allen Fieldhouse, just maybe the most historic, the best place to play basketball. I'm not even going to say college basketball. I'm going to say basketball.
I mean, you've got a Duke guy in Jay Billis saying the best place to play a college basketball game.
Ever. Absolutely.
Can't beat it, man.
The floor is named after the inventor of the sport.
It is, James
By the way,
Naismith.
did you see James Naismith's old house is for sale?
Did you know Sophie Dawes related to him?
I just found that out. Isn't that crazy?
No, I didn't know that about his house.
Yes. It's on like University Drive. I saw it on, I think it might have been Lawrence Journal World posted an article about it.
Shout out to Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com.
Shout out.
Point it out to me next time we're over at the football building.
I will.
All right, number one.
Number one. Drum roll. My number one reason why I think Tyran Stokes would like Lawrence is the fact that Kansas has a very good donor base. And I think that whatever your asking price is, you'll probably get it. And they're going to treat you really well. And I think you'll make a little bit of money.
Honorable mention, dude's going to have the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, he knows Tay Kenny.
Yes.
He's played with him before.
Sure.
Those are both good. Honorable mention, you can be the guy that brings Kansas basketball back to where we think it should be. Those are all good.
You get a play under.
He's going to have the ball. Like, Tay Kenny's going to bring the ball up. Leroy Blyden's going to touch the ball. All that sort of thing. Tyran Stokes is going to be who the offense runs through. I'm not saying that Kentucky or whatever, it's going to be different.
You like that? You like that starting backcourt of Kenny, Blyden, and Stokes?
The law firm?
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good law firm. But again, it's kind of clear, and hopefully Stokes, realizes that how the roster has been constructed so far with the transfer portal. I mean, you're the centerpiece.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I have a couple of honorable mentions.
Yeah, what do you got?
It's McCarthy Hall. It's a nice place to live.
It is.
And then most of them are just restaurants.
Good eats, man. Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence.
You got Johnny's. You got the burger stand. You got Gaia Sushi here. If you like sushi, you got Jimmy John's. A lot of places have Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's, nice pull.
Rally
Jimmy
House.
John's,
You got a lot of good spots.
Rally House.
To
Get some
eat.
food
You
over
got
there.
Basil Leaf is fantastic.
Big Mill Pizza.
Yeah, everyone here is really nice. I just think. I don't know.
Oh, you'll be beloved. You will be beloved.
Yes.
But, we'll wait and see. Again, we're going to open the show with that tomorrow. Tyran Stokes decision. Custom Lawn and Landscape, want to shout them out. With over 40 years of experience serving Johnson County, they are now serving Lawrence and all of Kansas City. The best part is you get your first application absolutely free. Plus, expert grub control is guaranteed to prevent lawn damage before it even starts. So don't settle for a patchy, weedy yard. Grab the lush, healthy lawn you deserve. Call Custom Lawn today or visit CustomLawn.com to claim your free application and get started. Beautiful lawns start early with Custom Lawn. Hope you enjoyed our Top 10 Tuesday. Coming up after this, it's a surprise. We're going to close out the show on Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here in the Kansas Nation studio. A beautiful state-of-the-art studio downtown Lawrence on Mass Street. Dan plugged it a little bit earlier, but we love being here. Private event space as well. Got shuffleboard, golden tee, and just enjoy being downtown. So thanks for joining us on Rock Chalk Sports. Also want to shout out everybody who is watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube as well. We're opening tomorrow talking Tyran Stokes. I want to tell you about our friends over at Joslin's Jewelry. Joslin's, locally owned for over 40 years. Gary Joslin and the entire Joslin family proud to have earned the trust of 3 generations of customers. They believe Joslin's customers come back again and again and refer their family and friends because each customer is treated with respect and integrity they deserve while offering the best and fine jewelry, all at a fair price. Joslin's Jewelry, 95th and Antioch, in front of the big grocery store. Check them out. Tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you.
For the best that's yet to come.
I love it. Dan, we've got some
surprise.
Surprise. It's not really a surprise if you were watching our open because I teased it a little bit. But tell us a little bit about this article: college basketball, college football, everything that's gone on in the world of NIL and the transfer portal.
Yes.
There need to be changes. There's no doubt about it.
Correct.
What's the most recent update on what change could potentially be coming?
Yeah, so as you may recall, Donald Trump put in an executive order essentially trying to save college athletics. And there's a lot of different ideas that he pushed forth, and one of them is kind of sticking to the forefront right now, and Charlie Baker has kind of talked about it, about sort of mirroring the same language as it, because as of right now, the executive order doesn't really do a lot, and I can assure you it would not save college athletics because of the fact that there are always workarounds, right? He wanted to have a one-time transfer window. Other than that, you would have to, sit out a year, kind of like what you talked about with Malik Newman. Also, a running clock with 5 years. That's the one that we're going to kind of focus on right now. And, with the executive order put in, if you don't follow the rules of the executive order, you're going to lose federal funding. But almost immediately my thought process went to, okay, well then Duke and Baylor and Northwestern and who are some other private schools out there? Just
Villanova,
Xavier. Xavier. I mean, all the Big East schools, right? I mean, none of those guys have to deal with that because they don't get any federal funding, right? Kansas and Kansas State and Texas and Missouri, all of them, they have to follow those. But like TCU and all of the other private schools, BYU is a great example of that as well. They wouldn't have to follow those rules because they don't get. There would be no incentive for them to follow those rules, right? But now the NCAA is essentially going to be, quote, mirroring kind of the verbiage of this. So as the NCAA considers generational change for the organization's eligibility rules for athletes, some potential clarity emerged regarding one of the most vexing parts: the age-based eligibility proposal. NCAA President Charlie Baker told ESPN in a phone interview on Monday that the implementation, which had been uncertain, is not expected to include athletes who graduated or exhausted their eligibility in the 2025-2026 season, meaning that there is going to be no grandfathering in. It is going to be a hard line, August 1st. If you're done, you're done, right? If you have completely gotten over it, guess what? You can't go forward and do this, which could mean bad. And like right away, my thought process goes to Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss. Yeah. Like that really sucks for him because he actually went through all this. And then now if it's going to be a hard line August 1st, well, guess what? He didn't enter the NFL draft. What's he going to do, right? He could be picked up as a UDFA, potentially. I don't know if there's still time for that or whatever it may be. So that actually kind of really sucks for him. But essentially, regarding the implementation, the NCAA said in a statement that the Division I board formally recommended Monday to, quote, maintain existing rules allowing 4 seasons of competition and 5 years of eligibility. For student athletes competing in the 2025-2026 academic year, new rules are not expected to retroactively apply to student athletes whose eligibility is or will be completed by spring of 2026. So he said he's relatively optimistic about the entire thing. He said, I'm pretty optimistic it's going to happen, mostly because the primary conversation hasn't been about the idea of an age-based eligibility model being controversial. A lot of people are familiar with it because they've dealt with it in other settings and they understand the simplicity of it. And there actually used to be a thing regarding that as well. There used to be what they would call a running clock in terms of when your time would start as a athlete, it would essentially end, but it would be for essentially Division I. If you remember going back to, I think it was Last Chance U, there was a kid at Indy whenever Jason Brown was the head coach. By the way, not a good guy, Jason Brown. I got recruited by Indy when I was in high school. I met him briefly one time. Not a great dude. Yeah. But anyway, regardless of the point, there was a player who was trying to go Division I who had essentially his running clock had been over, so he wound up having to go D2, and he actually played at Missouri Western. Emporia State actually played against him, and he was a really nice wide receiver from Missouri Western back in the day. So this has been something, but also it hasn't extended throughout all of the NCAA. So essentially the way that this rule would work is you have 5 years for your eligibility from 2 different start dates, either the day you turn 19, whichever comes first, the day you turn 19, or the day you graduate high school is when this essentially gets into place. So that means like the Bryson Tillers of the world too, which I don't know how this would work in terms of this, because Bryson Tiller, that man's damn near 21, and he was a freshman this year. You know what I mean? Because he was able to go backwards in time and sort of, reclassify the other way and play a couple more years of high school ball, right? I don't know how this is going to work for prep schools. I don't know how this is going to work for a number of different things, right? But I do like this because this is kind of fixing one part of what I think is wrong. And I still think that we are in the world of they found loopholes because of COVID, right?
Absolutely.
COVID,
Which how are we not past that yet?
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like there's still guys
I was
who
all
are
for it, but my goodness.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's like, and I understood it because like COVID gave everybody another year of eligibility, and then they're like, oh wait, we can just like apply for another year of eligibility, and then you talk about, medical red shirts and a bunch of different things like that, and all of a sudden you're having guys who are spending 6, 7, 8, 9 years in college athletics. That's not the way that it should be. It had always been 4 years, and then they changed the rule to where, well, technically for football at least, you could play 4 games, and then that could be considered your redshirt year, as long as you don't play any other games after that, or whatever it may be, right? So I like the 5-year rule. I like the fact that they think this is going to be implemented, and hopefully it gets implemented August 1st.
Yeah, and I believe they're going to be meeting on May 22nd, and potentially could vote on this that day. This would basically rid college athletics with a number of things, including medical red shirts. I mean, because there was a COVID year, medical year. I mean, I joked about Devin Cambridge a little bit earlier, but these guys are having 6, 7, 8, 9 lives getting to play more college basketball, and it gets to the point where this isn't what it's supposed to be about. Like, this is supposed to be about college-age kids competing, and no, it's not a perfect system, and it's probably not going to be a perfect system. And we know that this all started with the NBA draft, and, you could go out of high school, and then you had to come for at least 1 year, and in baseball, you got to play 3 years, and same deal with football, and it's just a little different. It's not perfect, but I think we at least agree as we wrap up the show here that this is a step in the right direction. We have to see if they move forward.
Yeah, and I think when you get it at the federal level too, that in theory stops the local judges, like the Trinidad Chambliss thing, like the Diego Pavia thing, where they get local judges to essentially, say, oh yeah, we actually are giving them, like when it comes from a federal level at that point, then that's going to completely nip that in the bud.
I mean, the Charles Bediako stuff was just a disaster.
Yeah,
just an absolute mess. So anyway, that's it for Rock Chalk Sports today. Huge show tomorrow, though. Make sure that you're tuned in. We're also going to hear from Dan Fitzgerald, some members of the KU baseball team. Looking forward to that. They take on Wichita State tonight, as does KU softball. Make sure you stay up to date on everything going on that front. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations and Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying, join us tomorrow from 4 to 6, Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com.